Hello!
Hello AOS fans!
It's the Agents of Sigmar.
And in this video we're going to preview the Big Summer Preview.
So we've got really nothing solid to go off in this video other than just any wild conjecture we might come up with.
Yes, this is totally thin gruel, but that never stopped anybody on the internet.
No, especially content creators such as us.
Yeah.
And even we aren't above creating some clickbait every now
We're
and then.
going to tell you why the summer preview is the end of GW.
Yeah, again. After 15 years of solid profits. But
This mistake will be their last. It's quite nice to be in a position where GW surprise us, because I don't think anybody was expecting the announcement that Kamandora and
they came out a bit left field.
Not that long ago had the Knives of the Crown. I mean, we've mostly forgotten about them, but we didn't know they were coming, so we had a new deck. I wasn't expecting anything over the summer at all.
No, I wasn't.
We've got that, and then on the back of that, it's like, well, that really won't be anything now for ages. And then they say that there's going to be some Warhammer Underworlds in the preview.
My fear is they're going to just go, oh, don't forget you got Kamandoras coming.
No, you see, people on our Discord have been saying that, and I'm with the group. There's a few that say that isn't going to happen. GW never, ever, ever go backwards. No. So I know they're not out yet, but they're not going to do that. They've done that preview.
They've done that. They'll do a thing on the week of it where they'll show off the cards. The
marketing ball is still going.
Yeah, they'll do the thing the week before pre-order where they'll go, here's all the cards to spoil it and ruin all of the content
they don't
creators.
Always do that though, but anyway.
Sometimes they do the fighters and stuff like that, but
yes.
So, I'm intrigued to see what's going to come next, because when Emberguard came out, they didn't really give us a lot to go on, other than they sort of said there'll be 3 warbands and 3 rivals decks and more next year, and that was like November last year. Yeah. And then, so we've had our 3 now. When Kamandoras arrive, we will have had our 3 warbands and our 3 decks. Yeah.
They also said that they wouldn't keep doing core boxes
every 6 months.
Yeah, but well, exactly, and because traditionally you would expect one, I think.
Yeah, they didn't specifically say they wouldn't release a core box every year.
It would be around for a long time or something like that. But what's a long time in GW speak? Who knows?
About 3 weeks.
Sometimes it feels like that, yeah.
So maybe we'll get a new core box. They did say about all of the stuff that's valid being available throughout, but they quickly pissed all over that with releasing those 13 warbands.
Yeah, because it's not.
Because they're not available all the time. So if they released another core box, they'd have to keep the old core box as well. Are they likely to have 2 core boxes? Nope. I don't think so. Nope. But again, they could just say, well, we don't really care that you can't buy the old stuff anymore. No. Buy the new stuff and shut up. So they might just say that, and it might be a new one.
They won't do like the old the core set warbands and decks separately, because they just don't ever do that.
No, they stopped doing that back in like the Nether Maze days, I think.
I actually, controversial thing coming up now, I actually wouldn't mind if they rotated out a whole load of shit. Now, I know you don't think that they will. I definitely would be happy if they rotated out the 13
I would be quite happy to.
And I feel like that they probably could, quite reasonably could, because that's 2 years worth of play you've had now. Yeah.
If you had them.
Assuming you have an October cut-off.
Yeah.
And so I think it's reasonable that they go. I would be happy if they rotated out the Emberstone box. Emberguard box.
Oh my God.
That's controversial.
That wouldn't even be a year, though. It would be just about
a year. I know, but I just...
Those 4 decks are just...
I'm so bored with them.
Yeah. And
they're too good compared with what's come later.
Yeah.
So it would be unpopular.
Yeah,
but maybe not the warbands.
The 13, I don't think many people, maybe Imogen, would be that upset with losing the 13, but I think people would definitely be a bit more pissed off if they lost their core box. But I do feel like a lot of people need a new core box because they need a new board, because a lot of these boards are getting a lot of use, and they're not the highest quality products, and some people's are starting to show a bit more.
I don't love the changing in boards. I wouldn't mind a new board.
I wouldn't even mind if it was the same layout, just different artwork, to be honest.
I wouldn't want the Skaven and the Emberwatch to rotate out. No. But I wouldn't mind if the 4 decks. If we got 4 new decks, I wouldn't mind if those 4 decks rotated out, because we'd still have the same amount as we've got now. Now,
we know that at some point in the past, GW had trademarked or copywritten Mosscairn, and that was a place that was in one of the AOS maps. And this is obviously the 10-year anniversary of AOS. It's been about 10 years now, Age of Sigmar. It's mental. Wow. I can't see them doing anything particular for Underworlds. I feel that the focus is going to be more on AOS, wherever they're going to be doing, wherever the next big 10-year mark is going to be.
They're going to get rid of new Horus Heresy announcement out of the way, because that's coming up in the next week or so, isn't it? And then bang out
loads of AOS stuff.
AOS stuff for 10 years of AOS.
But for Underworlds,
probably a new Stormcast model or something.
probably they love them. I do wonder because we know that they've talked about, or people online who've been fairly accurate with their rumours have talked about Chaos Dwarves, and they've talked about Sylvaneth, I think. I don't know if the Sylvaneth one was more wishful thinking, but I don't know if it came from the same source. But both of those have been mooted. Maybe we'll see them in a new
Ents.
core box.
Should have Ents.
Maybe.
They've been mooted, yeah.
Ants. So maybe we'll get a new box.
Ant Hive Man Warband, though. How cool would that be? Move one, move them all. Or something like that. Oh, that'd be good. I want to see that now.
But I don't feel like at something this big, they're just going to go, oh, we're going to do another warband. Because it's too close to the last warband without having been released yet for them to announce just another warband.
But they could do some funky model shots and not really say what they are, and not say whether it's a core box or a warband, and not give you,
They'll just probably be billed as like the next stage of Emberguard has arrived.
A new chamber has been excavated or something like that.
Something like sorry about that. I just got a frog on my throat. But yeah, it feels too close to the last warband that's just been announced for them to just be announcing another warband.
I don't think it will be. I think it will be cryptic. Whatever it is, I think it will be cryptic.
There'll be some silhouette shots.
Yeah.
Maybe there'll be something like we'll see title or something like that.
Because I kind of feel like it's going to be October, November before they, and it's quite a long way out to give us too much information. But they'll feed us something.
And if that's the the 3 warbands that we've had announced so far now this year, we've had 2 of them. We'll be getting the 3rd one in a few weeks, hopefully. That does kind of align with their map that they showed originally, which was this in 2025. You're going to get 3 warbands and 3 rivals decks and other things.
Yeah. Probably a whole new play mode.
Yeah. But it does completely throw out the window any. If they do release a new core box, they're not going to keep the old core box. It does completely just spit in the face of their promise of everything that you need or everything that's competitive will always be available. So it's obviously not.
But it depends what they do though, because they could release a new core box, but they won't do this. But they could not change the rules and even not change the board, and certainly not make the old board obsolete. So you could still then just carry on. But
you wouldn't have the decks unless they're going to release it with the same 4 decks.
I think they should rotate out the decks.
I agree, but I don't see them rotating out decks after just a year.
Maybe. Because it's normally 2 years. 2 years.
2 years.
I just feel that, I suppose you're right, they're not gonna make those. It wouldn't be fair on it because they're so good. It wouldn't be fair on anybody new to the game that they couldn't get those decks.
No, exactly.
So,
and they're not going to rotate them out.
Yeah.
So
I mean, unless they make the decision that they are going to reprint them, but then people wouldn't buy. People like us would be like really annoyed because we don't want more. 4 of them all.
No, exactly. Release. Well, I could definitely see them releasing a new core box with an alternate art board with 2 new warbands and the same 4 core decks.
We'd all buy them and moan about it.
We'd all moan about it, but we'd have some shiny new models and we'd immediately forget about the problem of all this extra card being produced that nobody needs. But
it's interesting when you start talking about it, you suddenly realise the problems with the model, so to speak. That it's not like a collectible card game because it's got the model component which screws it all up.
The model screw up the model.
Yeah, I'm out.
As it's all new and it's Emberguard, maybe they will come up with like a Champions of kind of release like they did before, because they'll be like, you can still get these, you can still get those 4 decks because they're coming out separate now.
They don't do that because nobody buys. Because like if you bear in mind that nearly everybody who wants to play Underworld has already bought those.
Yeah.
I don't know how many a new core box. I don't know how many people that brings in. But let's say it's 10%. They're not going to build a product that only 10% of their people are going to buy.
Yeah, but I guess they went for a long time just releasing a new core box every year and then just quietly dropping the other one, and then all of the contents of it for the most part was just unavailable.
Yeah, that feels to me like that's what they'll do.
That is probably
just because they said in a Warhammer article that they weren't going to do it doesn't mean that they are.
No. They immediately, like we say, they immediately threw that out the window when they then said, you can use those 13 warbands that we don't sell anymore.
Yeah.
I'm not sure that's exactly what you said earlier. Shut up and play the game. So, I reckon new core box, maybe with Chaos Dwarves and maybe with Sylvaneth.
Yeah.
maybe with whole new decks and board. Would you drop the game if they release a new core box so soon after the last time?
No.
No, I mean, we probably won't. But
No.
I mean, there might be a lot of people.
I don't think most people will, because I think from my, it's purely anecdotal, but from the literally tens of people that I talked about this game, everybody's finding it a little bit staid.
Yeah. Everyone wants new core box, new decks, new warbands.
And my controversial thing, would it be bad for the game if they rotated out those 4?
I think it would be if they didn't provide replacements.
Oh yeah, they've got to give you 4 new ones.
But I'm not sure that would throw a lot of random things out, because all the usual combinations would be gone. I do feel like a lot of people would moan if they only got a year's worth of use out of a deck.
Of course they would. But GW can't care about that. But
no, but also they don't care about keeping it fresh. They'll just release 4 new ones and add it to the pile of other stuff.
The problem they have at the moment is that all these new warbands and, well, not new warbands, new decks that they produce just aren't as good as those 4.
No.
So they immediately you're left with a slight sense of disappointment when they bring something out. I mean, we are incredibly fickle, because if they were too overpowered, we go, "Oh my God, these are so overpowered! We can't balance anything."
Look at RF from the championship. I mean, they did have to then ban 4 of the cards from that straight away.
So we are fickle, and I appreciate that GW can't win. No. But I just feel like there's some quite nice interactions in those decks that just never get played because the 4 are just so pervasive.
Yeah.
So if they rotated out, I wouldn't be sorry. As long as I might get 4 new well-designed or semi-well-designed decks to play with instead. Which if they were on a par with the power of the subsequent decks, not the core set decks, you could end up with a really nice mix of decks then. Possibly. You could do interesting things with.
I still reckon it's going to be a core box with 4 new decks, and they're not going to rotate anything out, and it'll just be more stuff into the pile.
I think that is the most
munch
likely.
Together into their Ember Guard offering.
That is the most likely opportunity. You won't be able to buy that Ember Guard box anymore.
No, that'll be gone.
I don't think they'll do a cut down version of that box. I hope to God they don't change the rules. That is one of the things that they said they weren't going to do.
Yeah.
But they will. But I hope to God that they don't. And if they do bring out 4 new decks and keep those 4 new decks, then I hope that it's difficult. I don't want them to be really strong, because that means the other ones that we've bought definitely won't get any play. If you've got 8 really strong decks, I kind of, I suppose, hope that they're on a par with the new ones, and then eventually they will rotate out, probably 12 months after that.
Yeah.
And then finally you might get some interesting stuff happening. Not that it's not interesting. I just feel like the deck building is just stayed a little bit.
Yeah, definitely. So let us know in the comments below what you are hoping for from this release. Are you hoping for a new core box, a new set of warbands? We also didn't even mention the fact that they did those 4 warband boxes. Are they just going to release more of the old warbands in those? Are they going to do another 4 sets of 4 warbands?
Oh, yes.
Maybe they'll announce that.
Yes, I hope to God they don't.
Yeah, that would just... I mean, again, more variety is nice. But
we're going on they don't rotate anything out thing. That'll be even more things.
Well, we'd just be back to where we were before, wouldn't we, with all the warbands? So
I don't need that. I don't need that level of pressure.
Yeah. So what would you like to see? More warbands, more decks, more core boxes? What are you holding your breath for?
And if you enjoyed this video, do click that like button
and click that subscribe button.
And we'll see you soon somewhere in the underworld.